Hi, best friends.
I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin.
And today we are going to be talking about the Hulu adaptation of ACOTAR. So there is not a lot that we know about the series quite yet. It was announced earlier in August of 2021. Really not, like I said, not a lot surrounding it right now. The last time we had heard anything about any adaptations of ACOTAR was back in 2015. Miss Sarah J was supposed to do a movie adaptation. Not a lot happened with that. I believe it was with Tempo Productions that were going to be helming that project. Like I said, not a lot of follow-up with it. Everyone was super, super psyched about it. I was really stoked about it.
Yeah, me too.
The cracks.
And like she announced that she would be doing that like just a few months after the book had even been published. Mm-hmm. So like that's pretty bold. And even in 2018, she actually posted a picture of a script that was supposedly like written for the movie, but no further updates on that. And then in, let's see when it was, March of 2021, Sarah J. Maas's husband, John, supposedly leaks a picture of her notes entitled ACOTAR TV Adaptation Notes. And all you can see is like that at the top, the date, and then you just see a line down. It says Ron Moore. And okay, so if you haven't already seen this picture, look it up, because what was the focal point of this beautiful Instagram post that just had to be made? A peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I have, in my time on Instagram, I have posted a lot of silly things. Like, I'm not coming for him. It's perfectly fine if you want to post a PB&J. But if your wife is like working on this like really secretive project and like she's got her notes on the table, don't you think you'd notice it, like that it's in your shot? Because it looks a little bit purposeful to me. I think it was a little bit of a publicity stunt because then Sarah J was like
type energy.
Yeah, a little bit. I do think that she kind of was like, hey, I'm feeling a little embarrassed that the movie never panned out. So like, so I called him John. His name's Josh. Sorry, I do apologize, Mr. Maas. But yeah, I'm feeling like she was thinking the news can't come directly from me because I said there was going to be a movie and then there never was. So that's okay. Like, I get it. And you know, any publicity is good publicity. Even if it's a sandwich.
Really curious to see, how quickly this is actually going to develop, what updates we're going to get. The last thing that they posted, if you guys have never heard of IMDb, go check them out. They did post like a little caption basically saying exactly what the first book is about, a brief introduction to the series. But other than that, we have not really gotten anything else about casting, what the basis of the first season is going to be, if it's focusing solely on the first book or if they're going to pull a little bit of like a Shadow and Bone type series where they're introducing the first book as well as the second set in the series, the Six of Crows duology. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah, that could be cool if they kind of introduce some other things going on, like some of the characters that maybe are like on the continent side of things, or, like what's brewing over there while this is happening in this timeline.
Yeah, like how are they going to show us a little bit more about like Hybern? Are we going to get a lot more about what I think would be cool is if they actually focused a lot more about like the war that happened between the Fae and the humans and give us a little more information about that, because I mean, so far in the book they've talked about it, they explained it, but we don't get a ton of information about it. So I think that'd be awesome if they did expand on that.
Like flashbacks from the perspectives of the characters that were there. That would be cool. I would be into that. And it would like prolong the series, which
exactly
I would be all for. I mean, assuming that it's good. And I feel like it will be, because we're going to talk about a little bit some of the stuff that Ron Moore has done. Yeah. But okay. So at one point, IMDb had said that filming already began in October of 2021. did it really? I don't know. It could have been an accident. I don't know, because I tried to look it up myself and I didn't actually see it posted on there, but I could just be looking in the wrong spot. I honestly couldn't tell you.
Interesting.
But it's for sure, like, it's been talked about by the president of Hulu Originals, like, in January of 22. So just this month, he was talking about the series and that Ron is, he says, truly one of the visionaries of that genre. So.
Yeah, no, and Ron Moore is awesome. He is the producer of the Outlander series. He adapted that book series into the really popular TV show. I unfortunately have never had the chance to sit and watch like a bunch of the episodes, but from what I have seen, it is outstanding. It has received excellent reviews from the folks who did follow the book series as well. So I'm super, super excited that he's going to be the one who is adapting this one into a TV series, just because there are a lot of small details. There's a lot of information that I think could be looked over and, maybe not interpreted the correct way. And so, just looking at the success with Outlander, I think he'll be perfect.
Yeah, that does give me a lot of hope. And I haven't seen any of Outlander. I haven't seen a single clip, which apparently I need to get on because, like you were saying, everyone loves it. But I really, like, as someone who just is super into this book series, I do not want to watch the show and just be super let down. So,
well, on top of that, I'm excited that they are doing a TV series rather than a movie, because same thing with the movies, like so much has to get cut out of it just to fit within normal, time standards. So with the TV show, they can do whatever they want to with it.
Yeah, they can extend that out. They can just like do multiple seasons per like book content. They could be really interesting. So another thing that everyone has kind of, I think, commended Ron Moore with the Outlander cast is that the cast is really well done. I don't really know if he has a hand in casting specifically.
I know that, I don't know, I use Shadow and Bone as an example quite a bit because I do follow Leigh Bardugo on Instagram. In her case, she and the producer were both very involved in the casting. The author herself had a lot to say about like who was put into different roles. So I think Sarah J. Maas will actually have, kind of the last say in like who they are casting for these different parts in addition to Ron Moore.
That could be really good news because it's hard. It's hard to come up with the right people. For what you have, the preconceived notions of what these characters should look like. It's really hard. And we're going to share with you the fan casts that we've put together.
So hard that rough. We tried to take a crack at it.
Yeah, it was very difficult. But okay, so I think we could just kind of jump right into that because Tabby and I have prepared PowerPoint presentations. Well, actually, technically, it's Google Slides presentation.
Hold on. Don't see that.
I don't want to get like, I don't want anyone to come for me. Okay, so let me share my screen.
And we have not seen each other's fan castings either. So this will be the first time for both of us as well as you viewers and listeners out there. Super, super excited to go over these. I'm really interested to see who we're choosing, especially for some of those harder characters like Rhysand and Amarantha, who are, very, very powerful characters in the endings of the first book. So
yeah, it was tough. And I mean, I tried my best, but I know there are some characters that I might not have done justice. Another thing that we want to hear from you guys is if you have any opinions about who should be like cast in the show. Yeah. And also, so later on, because we haven't talked about any of the other novels yet at this point, but later on, we will be adding on to our fan cast some characters that show up in the later novels. So feel free to send in ideas that you have for those as well. But we'll go ahead and get started. I I feel like the need to defend myself with every single one of these.
Yeah, I've got to go up to bat for some of these characters and really explain my vision for them. And also, if you are listening in with us today. If you want to go check out our fan cast that we've created, it'll also be on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure that you pop on by there.
Yeah, we'll try and give a good description of like what characters these actors and actresses have played already, just so that you know who we're talking about if you're just listening. But yeah, if you'd rather watch, totally go check that out. So we're going to kick things off with Feyre. And I do have to say, just this was the most difficult one for me. I'm still not 100% sold, but
that was the easiest one for me.
See, and so I'm so excited to see your Feyre. I'll probably like yours better since you're so confident. But okay, so Feyre. Okay, so I have fan cast Kiernan Shipka. Kiernan Shipka, she plays Catherine in The Black Coat's Daughter and Sabrina in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, if you've seen either of those. She is age 22 and Feyre is meant to be age 19, so that shouldn't be like a concern. And I've like just clipped a little like snippet of golden brown hair on your girl. So
it's hard to imagine that.
Okay, so yes, it is hard to imagine that. And as someone who has aphantasia, this was really difficult for me. For those of you who don't know, aphantasia it means that you can't form images in your mind. Like when I close my eyes, I cannot like see actual images. I can see images when I'm dreaming, just not when I'm conscious. But there's actually a scale. And so Tabby kind of falls on that scale a little bit too. She's not like a true like aphantasia, but there's a scale. You should look it up. It's involving like you close your eyes and try to picture a red apple, and then depending on how detailed the apple is, like you can see where you fall.
And mine lets me have like just kind of a vague outline of what these people look like, so I can kind of piece it together a little bit. It's gotten to the point where I just like create stock images in my head for different characters. I use the same man,
generic man.
Book,
yeah. So for me, like it really helps when people create fan art. And so actually on some of my slides, I have included people's fan art as well.
If I could, I would create fan art for every single book I've ever read.
Yeah, I have. I'm not able to draw or paint or anything. And I can't even picture people in my head. So I don't know. I kind of just have to rely on other people's adaptations and just go off of a gut feeling, whether or not that feels right to me. All of this to say, this was a very hard challenge for Tabby and I. I do think that Kiernan would do a great job. She's a very talented actress. However, I'm not completely like 100% sold on her in the role. If somebody has a better actress to portray Feyre, I would be like, yeah, that's a better actress for this role.
She'd also be a really good Elaine.
I could see her as an Elaine. I've never really seen her play someone who has the same like personality type as Elaine's character, but that doesn't mean she can't do it. I mean, she's very talented. Anyway, I don't have much of a defense for this one. Like I said, it's one of the ones I was least confident about. So that brings us to Elaine. So I have fan cast Elle Fanning as Elaine. And she, for those of you who have seen Maleficent, she plays Princess Aurora. She also plays Violet in All the Bright Places, but I actually haven't seen that movie. I just remember seeing previews for it. But she is, again, another very talented actress. I think that goes without saying for all the people that we've put in here. But I look at her and I see Elaine.
She has like a very ethereal, like otherworld beauty, which they kind of like, that's how they describe Elaine in the books anyway. Like she's just like more gorgeous than like your typical run-of-the-mill person.
Yeah, so very gorgeous, obviously. She also has something about her like expressions that she makes just looks a little bit spacey. Like she can kind of play like a really like spacey type of emotion that not everyone can. She can kind of have like a little bit of a a vacancy to her.
Right.
And, well, I mean, it's a talent. It's
the best way possible. Yeah.
That way in real life. But I very much imagine Elaine as being like in her own world, like a little bit of a space case. So
our very best space cadet, Elaine.
Yeah, that's her. Space cadet Elaine for Nesta. I am confident about this one. You can't convince me I'm wrong on this one. Florence Pugh.
I also had Florence Pugh, but mine was for Elaine.
Oh, well, you know what? She's so talented. She can do it all. But I think she would be an excellent Nesta. So Florence Pugh plays Dani in Midsummer, very creepy movie. Mm-hmm. And she plays Amy in Little Women, the 2019 adaptation. She is 25. So again, the age range is about right. And Elle Fanning, I think, was in her early 20s. Yeah, age 23. So Florence, she's just got that really like intense eyebrow combination that I know Nesta would have. Like Nesta would have very piercing eyes. And I think Florence really nails that. She also can do a heck of a frown. And I feel like Nesta would be frowning a lot. Our poor little Nesta. She's just always uptight. But again, you can't convince me I'm wrong until maybe you will. I don't know. We'll see. For Mr. Archeron, Ralph Fiennes. So
our favorite zaddy.
Oh yeah, he's a good-looking guy. He played Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies, and Eamon Goeth in Schindler's List, which is, I mean, quite a serious movie. So he could really nail that whole like horrible, depressing vibe that he needs to give off at the beginning of the series. He is age 59, so I feel like that age is probably pretty spot on for Mr. Archeron. He'd probably be in his late 40s to 50s. I don't really know. It doesn't really say how old he is, but I kind of just go off of the fact that he is crippled. I like pictured an older guy. Well, not literally pictured, because as you all know now, I can't picture in my mind. But I feel like I could see him doing kind of the Mr. Archeron from the first novel for sure. It is a little hard for me to picture him like toward the end of the series, but that's not to say that he couldn't do it. It's just that I haven't seen him do anything similar to that. Yeah. I have a hard time like imagining people doing things that I haven't seen them do. So I don't really have that visionary skill. But Tamlin, Sam Heughan. So I have not seen Outlander, but as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, everyone loves it. They say the casting's great, and he plays Jamie. Okay, so for those of you who are looking at the presentation, this man is 41 years old. Are you shocked?
Yeah, I thought he was like in his 30s for sure.
Yeah, he is aging very well. Go ahead and look him up if you've not seen a picture.
Fine specimen.
He's a very good looking guy. Tamlin is a good looking guy. Like he's got, I think Tamlin, Farrah calls him like ruggedly handsome. I would say that applies to this man. Tamlin is described as having tan skin and long blonde hair. So I imagine more of the longer hair look that's going on here in the left photo.
I like him a lot for that role, just because Tamlin is described to be more of like a warrior prince type role. And he's definitely giving off those vibes. Like he is not classically beautiful. He does just like have almost like a domineering presence though.
Absolutely.
Which is what Tamlin is.
Yeah, and that's why like when Farrah says ruggedly handsome, it's like it's very specifically like this man's good looking, but he's not supermodel beauty. Yeah, he's just like macho and like I feel like Tamlin wouldn't really have facial hair. I don't picture any of the high fae with facial hair.
I don't know if they can grow facial hair.
I don't know. But in my mind, again, not literally, I can't literally picture it, but I don't imagine that the high fae males have facial hair. I don't know why. That's just kind of how I'm understanding it. But yeah, I feel like he would have the long hair and a clean shaven face.
Yeah.
That would show off his jawline he's got going on there. Lucian. For Lucian, I have fan cast Andrew Garfield. So Andrew Garfield he is a Spider-Man, and he plays Jonathan Larson in Tick, Tick, Boom, which is a relatively new movie. It's good. You should watch it. To me, he just looks cunning. Like, I don't know, like, what it is. It's something in his eyes that just, like, is expressive in the way that I think Lucian would be. I think that and I've included a picture of him with longer hair. I think he'd have, like, the shoulder-length hair going on, and it would be red, of course. But
he has reddish hair.
Yeah, it is kind of like a reddish brown. But I think it would be more red.
Maybe like wine red.
Yeah, that would look, because it's autumn court, so it would be a very, like, warm, rich red, I think. You're right.
Little Mermaid type red.
Yeah, so Lucian, the Little Mermaid. I think Andrew Garfield is a great actor. I think he could definitely play the role really well, and he can also kind of, like, play someone really funny and witty, as you'll see in, like, some of the stuff he's in. So I think that's a lot of the reason why Farah and him even get so close in the first novel, is because his sense of humor, he's like, when he's cracking jokes with Farah, she's like, oh, that means that he's comfortable enough to, like, call me on stuff. Like, She likes it. She likes the banter. She's like, this is a cool guy. He's going to be my pal. So I think he could play that really well. I can't remember who's going to be next. So here we go. Oh, Alice.
Oh.
I had the hardest time, like, besides Farah, I had the hardest time with Alice, but I think she would be a good one. So Emilia Clarke, probably most commonly known for her role in Game of Thrones. She plays Daenerys Targaryen. She also plays Louisa in Me Before You, which is
such a good
romance movie. I haven't seen it.
So sad.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to watch it. I think Alice would be, so originally I wanted to pick an older woman for the role of Alice, but she wouldn't be old in appearance because she's immortal. So she just, like, I had to readjust because I had someone else that I was, like, completely sold on, but we had to just kind of scrap that. I do think Emilia Clarke would be an amazing person for this role. She is really good at playing like, kind of a diplomatic woman who, she's kind of no nonsense. And I think that Alice would be very much like slap the silliness out of you.
This is like a motherly, like, I don't know, like, attraction. Like, she comes off as motherly to me.
I could see it. She's got, like, a really soft face and, like, soft eyes, a lot different than the facial structure of, like, Florence Pugh, who just looks, like, more intense.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's a lot in people's natural, like, face shape and facial features that kind of fits them better into certain roles. But I agree with you. She does look very motherly and, like, inviting as a person. I have no idea if she is, but she looks like it. Okay. I have a double cast. I have a double cast to the Surreal and the Auteur. Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, yes.
Who I've chosen. So he plays Pennywise in the It movies, and he plays Willard, who's, like, Tom Holland's dad in The Devil All the Time, which is a good movie, but it's long. This man, he can turn on the creepy factor, as we've all seen. I've included this horrifying shot of him doing like the creepy eye thing that Pennywise does. But he also is just like, he's funny. Like he brings a charisma to his horrifying villain. Yeah. And I think the Surreal would low-key be funny. Like the ACOTAR too. I think they would be kind of funny. They would be like, I love being evil, you know?
I would risk it all for Bill Skarsgård, like in a heartbeat. The chokehold that man has on me, I am obsessed with him. I was just thinking about him earlier today.
I do. I really like his work. I don't know if I'm quite in that same.
I love him.
That's great. Well, you know what? Like if it were up to you, then he would be cast.
Yeah, that's so much better than mine.
Check. Here's one that we like can agree on. But I'm excited to see who you put as well.
Yes, Bill.
So yeah, sold on it. We're sold. You're not allowed to disagree with this one because we both agreed. So everyone else is wrong. So
our word is law. Ooh.
Amarantha. Okay, so Amarantha was also a hard one for me. I think a lot of people could play a good Amarantha. Mm-hmm. I have kind of gone a little bit of a direction that I feel like not a lot of people would, just because I've chosen someone fairly young, but I chose Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Beth Harmon in The Queen's Gambit and Gina in Peaky Blinders. So she is only 25 years old. However, she has such a like uniqueness to her beauty. I think it makes her look more mature in like an old Hollywood kind of way, not like she looks old, because she doesn't. But I think she looks very refined and regal, and I think Amarantha would as well. She was very much a charismatic and cunning woman. Also evil, but they didn't know that at first. They were like, yeah, we trust this lady. Absolutely. So Amarantha is described as having, she's described as lovely with red gold hair and snow white skin. So I, again, put a nice little clip of red hair on there. So she's definitely, I don't think someone that a lot of people would cast as Amarantha, but I think she would do a really good job.
Absolutely. Well, and like something, love Richard Madden.
Me too.
Obsessed. Great pick. Something about like Amarantha too, that is like Farrah always talked about like how hard she thought it would be to like paint her, because she does have just like this like otherworldly sense to her. And I feel like Anya Taylor-Joy definitely also.
Yes, I agree. And it's like, Farrah said something about her being like,
she's not beautiful, but
lovely, but not. Yeah, she's like, she's not as devastatingly beautiful as I had thought, but it's because like she has like such a uniqueness that our brains like kind of register it as being like different. But it really translates to how Amarantha is described. So, Okay. So next, we have Rhysand. I've chosen Richard Madden, who plays Robb Stark in the Game of Thrones series. He is age 35, so, you know, young man in his prime. Rhys, as a character, has short black hair, pale skin under the mountain, but he becomes tanner like once they leave under the mountain, and then blue eyes that appear violet. I'm not sure if they're actually going to like do contacts or anything. I think they should. I'd love it.
That's a huge part of him.
So I've included some fan art on this slide. Okay, so Richard, I think he would make a really great Rhys. He, first of all, great actor. Again, all these people are, but he has a build that makes sense to me for Rhys. I know Rhys is muscular, but he's not going to be bulky like Tamlin, or like Cassian or those characters. Yeah. Which, I guess some of you haven't been introduced to those characters yet, but he's going to be like muscular, but like not like ripped. And so I think that's
his lean muscle.
Yeah, like a real lean guy. I think, again, he would be clean shaven just because I think all of the high fae males would be for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, just he's got like a really like classic handsomeness to him that I think Reese would have, because when Feyre sees him, she's like, right away, this man's gorgeous. So it makes sense to me. I think he's got the talent for it. Mm-hmm. Like, I would not be disappointed if this happened.
He has the most beautiful, like, Irish accent as well, which I don't know. Accents are always weird for me when I'm reading. But whenever I read it, like, I did picture all of them having like more of a European type accent, especially for Reese and Cass and Asriel. They did have more of like a rugged, like Irish. Well, actually, I don't know. Reese and his was probably a little more refined, but like for the other two, it was definitely more of like a like Scottish, Irish type accent.
I could definitely see that. And you even mentioned like the series was kind of loosely, like the setting was loosely based on like the UK. So yes. I could see that for this show. Like, I could see them casting an entirely like European cast, honestly, or people who could do a good accent. But I actually, like, whenever I read, I don't do accents ever. So
I have to.
I never can, even if it says they have an accent. They just all like, they sound like me. I don't know.
That's so weird to me.
Something's wrong with me, I think. I also can't picture things in my brain. So.
Yeah, no, every single one of the characters I have, like they have their own specific voice.
I love that for you. It's like, it's so much more exciting than what goes on up here. But I love audiobooks for that reason, because of the voice acting. I think that makes it a little fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Nuala and Cerridwen, I've only selected one actress because I think like she could, I don't know. Would they be like wanting to cast like real identical twins, or are they just going to like parent trap the situation? I don't know.
But I actually didn't do these two.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll have to let me know if you like.
Yeah.
By the end, if you have anyone that you would picture as them. But I've chosen Anya Chalotra. I might have said her name wrong. Chalotra. She plays Yennefer in The Witcher. She is so good. So good. I love her, and like I want to see her in more stuff. I need to look up what else she's in and just watch it for the sake of her. Like, she's amazing. She's gorgeous. She reminds me of a lot of the fan art that has been created of Nuala and Cerridwen, and I've included some fan art in my PowerPoint as well. She just has that like dark hair and a deeper complexion that the twins like are depicted as having in a lot of fan art. I don't know if Sarah J. Maas has ever written that about them, but they, at least I know they have dark hair.
Yeah. She doesn't like, I don't know, because like I always kind of picture them as being like partially like translucent.
I could see that, but I know that they have like different forms, because Feyre, like whenever they come into her cell under the mountain, they're like, she can barely discern their features because they are transparent. But then, and again, like some of you haven't started the second book yet, but I have. And so I will say they're in the second book as well, and they're in a different form. They're like in their solid form. So I don't know. Maybe they would still have a little bit of a translucence to them, kind of like how the High Lords have a little bit of power like emanating off of them.
Well, maybe like they were stuck in that form too while they're under the mountain.
They could be. I think Feyre even says that. It's like, I don't know if they were like choosing to be that way or, but yeah, like again, Anya, I think she would do this role justice, or roles, plural. That is everyone that I cast. for the first season. Again, we're going to cast some more characters later on, but I'm excited to see how it differs from what Tabby has done. I do also have to say, like, while you're pulling that up, it was really hard for me not to choose Danny DeVito for any of these roles.
Danny DeVito was my number one choice for Farrah's dad.
For Farrah's dad, for the ACOTAR, for the Surreal, like, my man, Danny DeVito, there is nothing he cannot do.
Danny DeVito, I am your biggest fan. Number one fan.
Danny DeVito, I am your biggest fan. I have a small shrine dedicated to you in my bedroom.
All right.
Oh my God, I love her.
Yeah, same. So Alicia Debnam Carey is my top pick for Farrah. She is amazing. If you all have never seen her before, she is known for her roles as Lexa in The 100 and as Emilia Clarke in Fear the Walking Dead. I chose her as Farrah because I have seen her do both. She has, been like this awesome, like warrior queen. She is freaking fierce. She's amazing. But I've also seen her when she looks like a peasant, when she's in Fear the Walking Dead. She's doing like doomsday type shit.
No, you're right. So you're absolutely right. I
think she could crush it either way. And so she's my top pick. She has the right like hair coloring. Obviously contacts can fix it, whatever. But I think she's like the perfect age for the role. And like, she's just a phenomenal actress anyway. I also...
That is a great one.
So... Sophie Turner is my pick for Nesta. I went kind of back and forth on Sophie Turner. So she is known for her roles as Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones and Jean Grey in the X-Men series. I chose her for Nesta because she played being a bitch so well in Game of Thrones. And Nesta is not my favorite character out of any of the books. I am upfront about that. And I think she would play that type of role so well. She can be so cold. She can be very cut off. But I think she's also very good at portraying her emotions or keeping them in check as well. So that is why I chose her for Nesta.
She would be a good Nesta. I agree.
Right.
I would not be mad at that.
Stately and like just has like the air she holds around her. I don't know. It just very much matches what I imagine Nesta to be.
Absolutely.
For Elaine, I actually chose Florence Pugh.
That's so funny.
So I did this because I was actually thinking ahead to different books. I like Florence because she is also very good at like controlling her facial expressions. So with Elaine, obviously she is supposed to be, like you said, more of that ditzy kind of airheaded type person. However, I don't think she'll stay like that forever. And I think Florence would do a very good job at, kind of growing with that character. Long theory, we'll get to it later. I do think Elaine is evil and we'll discuss in later episodes. But Florence is like my go-to pick for that because she does have just like a very like sweet but beautiful face. But I do think she could play
she can do it. She can do it all. Yeah. I like this. And like, because obviously I cast Florence Pugh as well. So I like this idea of having her be Elaine because of what you're saying, like occurs in later stuff, because I didn't even consider that, to be quite honest. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And I think all three of them together, like they all just match each other very well. They look kind of similar without being exactly the same because like they all shared their mother's features, but like they all had their own differences as well. So Farrah's father, I chose Liam Cunningham. He is known as his role as Davos in Game of Thrones. I love him. I chose Liam because I think he would do really well, portraying this broken man in the first couple episodes. As we get farther into the book, her dad does take on kind of a different role as well. And whenever I picture him in the later books, this is how I picture him. He is, very much a leader, and he again has like this authoritative air about him. which would come in handy. If you've seen Game of Thrones, then he helps Jon Snow lead like a bunch of different stuff like during the war and whatever, and he was phenomenal in that role.
Yeah. Also, I mean, he's no Danny DeVito.
He's no Danny DeVito, but he will do.
Yeah, he'll do. We have to settle, I think.
So for Tamlin, I also chose Sam Heughan for his role as Jamie Fraser in Outlander. Part of the reason why I chose him as Tamlin was because he's actually already worked with Ron Moore, obviously, in Outlander. So they already have that relationship built, that rapport established. On top of that, for the other reasons that we've already discussed, he is not classically beautiful, but he does have a very attractive face, a very rugged handsomeness. And I think that would do really well in the role of Tamlin. He also is just a really great actor. And like Tamlin, he can, be very abrasive, very rude, but also have that very tender and soft-hearted side of him as well. And you do get to see that in a couple of episodes of Outlander. So I think that'll switch over super well. So for Lucian, I chose Daniel Charman. He is known for his roles as Isaac Leahy in Teen Wolf and then Lorenzo de Medici in The Medicis. So I love him because I think he actually does have like a very Fox-like feature to him. Just the chiseled jawbones and like the pointed features. That really stands out to me as Lucian. But on top of that, he also, in some of his other roles, is just a very quick-witted, kind of dry sense of humor type guy. And that is how I envision Lucian to be. That's kind of how he is in Teen Wolf when he is portraying Isaac Leahy. He is just kind of like this asshole type kid who just kind of smarts off, and he means well, but he can also be kind of a dick. So I think he would do really, really well in the role of Lucian. Obviously, we'd have to change a little bit about like his hair color, whatever, but...
Oh, that's an easy fix, though.
Yeah, it's fixable.
I feel like I think I like him better as Lucian than my pick, to be honest.
Nothing wrong. I love Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, but I mean, I hadn't even considered Daniel Charman.
I think he could have like a very cold appearance if he needed to, which is how Lucian was, when Feyre first met him, but also Under the Mountain.
Yeah. And then later on, like in other novels, like he'll have to kind of, portray that again too in certain parts. So.
So for Rhysand, let me tell you, I had the worst freaking time trying to pick the perfect Rhysand. I'm still not happy with it. I'm still not pleased with my pick, but it was between freaking Henry Cavill, which I think is everybody's top pick.
Everybody's top pick, but it's wrong.
He would do fantastic, honestly. He would do well, but it's just not right. It's just not right.
It's not right. And like, don't get me wrong, he's an amazing actor and a gorgeous man, but Henry Cavill is not Rhysand. Like, he's not Rhysand. Cannot convince me that he is.
I cannot look at Henry Cavill's teeth for more than 2 seconds before I want to jump off a cliff.
Maybe he could be a Cassian.
No, I don't want him anywhere near this series. I don't want him
All right. Henry Cavill, you're blacklisted from ACOTAR. I'm sorry, but it's up to us, and we've decided. So
yes, I chose Tyler Hoechlin, who is known for his role as Derek Hill again in Teen Wolf. If you don't know, I loved Teen Wolf. It's such a trashy show, but it was so amazing. He also plays the role of Clark Kent and Superman and Lois and Supergirl. I chose him honestly strictly based off of features. So very tall, dark hair, kind of chiseled. My bone to pick with this man is that he is American. He does not have an accent of any sort. I'm not sure how well his voice would like match with what I imagine Rhysand's to be. I do think physically he kind of fits the role, but I'm honestly hoping, praying that Sarah J. Maas does kind of what they did with Shadow and Bone, and they choose not as well-known actors. They find somebody who, actually matches exactly what Rhysand is.
I would love that.
Yeah. you can pick any tall, dark, handsome man off the street, but like he has to be able to act. He needs to be able to have like these very expansive like emotions and be able to, you know, kind of switch back and forth between the High Lord and Thayor's friend.
Yeah, because the hardest part for sure, like in fan casting, and I'm sure in real life casting as well, like you're saying, like we could pick someone who is just the most gorgeous supermodel of a man who looks exactly like you picture for Rhysand. But if he can't act, like what are you going to do with him? Just submit a PowerPoint? Like, I want this man to encompass like everything that Rhysand's character is. I want him to be witty and clever and snarky and sarcastic. Yes. And I want him to be so like fun. So that's really more important to me than how he looks, to be honest. And I would love him to be gorgeous. That's not what Tyler Hoechlin is. And it's fine. Yeah.
That's not a hill I'm willing to die on. So so for Amarantha, I actually chose Daisy Head. So she played Jenya Safin in Shadow and Bone, and she also played Alexia in Underworld Blood Wars. So she is kind of a weird pick for Amarantha, and I chose her this way on purpose. She has a very interesting shaped face. I'm not gonna lie, it is just very different. But I also think she kind of has like that crazy look in her eye that just like a slightly unstable, slightly unsettled. Which Jenya had that too in Shadow and Bone. But we also know in some of her past roles that she can play just cold-hearted bitch as well. So I think she would be a fantastic choice for Amarantha. I think the age is right. Whenever I picture Amarantha, I don't know, I kind of thought her to be maybe like late 20s, early 30s. Again, not like classically beautiful, but striking. And I do think Daisy would be a good fit for that.
I do agree with you. I could totally see that.
So for this surreal, I chose Benedict Cumberbatch, mostly because I really like him as an actor, but I also love his voice acting. He played Smaug in the Hobbit series, but he's also known for his roles as Sherlock Holmes in Sherlock and Doctor Strange in the MCU. I chose him because he does have just a very interesting wit to him. So he, again, has like a very dry sense of humor, dry comedy, which is kind of what I pictured with the surreal, but also is able to do, a very creepy, very like striking type voice. He's also got height on his side. So I pictured the surreal to be like 7 feet tall. And so I do think Benedict Cumberbatch would be a fantastic choice for that, both for the voice and for the actual portrayal of the surreal.
Hear me out. Benedict Cumberbatch as the surreal. Bill Skarsgård for the ACOTAR. Yeah.
I dig that for sure. For Alice, I chose Natalie Emmanuel.
I almost chose her.
No, I thought it was really funny that you chose Emilia Clarke because
I was between the two.
Natalie is known for her role as Missandei in Game of Thrones, and she is Emilia Clarke's counterpart in that series. I chose her because as her role in Missandei, she definitely has like kind of a calmer demeanor, but she does eventually come out of her shell, and you can see kind of that bite to her, which is what I picture with Alice. She knows her role, but she's not afraid to speak out if she needs to.
Exactly. And at the end, she's really like, hey, Farah, like, girl, listen up. Because like they're screwed at that point at the end of the first novel. So yeah, she really like starts speaking up at the end. And Natalie does that really well in Game of Thrones.
And I also like just how gorgeous would she look with like the wood skin.
Oh, yeah. She's a queen.
Beautiful lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gorgeous. So I think she would be a fantastic Alice.
Oh, I almost picked her. And I think, I could see either lady portraying that role, but I think I'm with you now. You sold me.
We love Natalie. So for the ACOTAR, I chose Andy Serkis. Strictly for his voice acting. He, I think, is best known for his role as Gollum in Lord of the Rings, his vocal role as Gollum. He's also the voice actor for Caesar in Planet of the Apes. The ACOTAR obviously is going to have to be like a CGI'd character. So I do think having Andy voice this would be perfect. He is just top notch when it comes to, changing the way his voice sounds, changing, who he needs to be. And he's played a similar role to this before. So I think he'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
That's who I have. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm super excited to see what they do end up choosing for the cast themselves. I think I'll like it either way, but the actors they do choose for the series does play a huge role in how well I am able to pay attention to it, how well I can sell myself on the story. So I'm really hoping they take some notes from Shadow and Bone and do some
lesser known people. Yeah, because a lot of times I think shows get hung up on trying to get like big names in there to like draw people in, but that's just like, if it's not the right person for the role, it's not worth that. Like, I agree with you. I think some lesser known actors could be a good play. Okay, so that wraps up today's Minisode about the TV series adaptation of ACOTAR. Next week, we will be covering A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. So that is the second installment in the ACOTAR series, and my favorite of all the books, actually. So I'm so excited to talk about that one. Buckle up, that episode might be even longer than the first.
Got a lot to say, lots to unpack in that episode. And definitely email us again with any of the theories that you had from the first episode, going over just the ACOTAR book, the very first one in the series. We would love to hear what you guys have to think about it. If you have anything you want us to add, if you have already read A Court of Mist and Fury, send us in, thoughts and questions that you have about this series as well, stuff that we can address in the episode. We are going to continue on through the rest of the series. So even, looking forward to the next few in the book, we just want to hear you guys' thoughts. But again, thank you for joining us today for our very first mini-sode of this podcast. And as always,
let's get lit.